Hey guys, I'm here looking through my comments on YouTube from the video I posted of the baby born with limb-body wall syndrome between deliveries on labor and delivery. And it really hit me how extreme the views were, from really supportive on acknowledging reproductive rights versus very pro-life stances saying things like abortion is murder. I also had a lot of people mention things like, that is a very extreme example. That is not everyone going through the situation. And I'm just using that to prove a point. And I agree. I am trying to prove a point. My point is, people in these situations are stuck in a very difficult decision, regardless of where they're coming from. Um, I think everyone could agree. I'm going to quote JD Vance from his interview with Joe Rogan. He said something around the lines of, abortion should be safe and scarce. Now, you forget who he's quoting, and regardless of what his actual views are, is I agree with him. And as much as social media tries to polarize us, I think most people agree with that statement. And what I mean by that is, we should have these things available because it is a necessary thing in society, because people try to do it anyways. My father, who's also an OBGYN, did his training in Chile originally, because that's where he's from. And abortion was illegal in Chile. And there was a whole floor in the hospital of people who had septic abortions because it was illegal. People found a way to do it anyways at a huge danger to the mom. I agree that it should be done as minimally as possible. And the question is, how do we do that? And I think the best way to do that is by education and giving people options. Meaning, if people had better access to birth control, then they would have less abortion because they would be covered. From that point of view, after, the question is, should we have abortion be legal? And as I just stated, when it is restricted, people are put in worse situations. So the question is, how do we make abortion scarce and safe? Is by giving people options and giving them autonomy over their own body. But if someone is in the situation where they need an abortion, so let's say, for example, they were on birth control and it didn't work, because that happens sometimes. Or let's say there's a genetic abnormality. I think people also forget that historically, people used to perform infanticide. They would literally, if they had a family and they had one more kid and they did not have the ability to feed their family, they would literally suffocate the baby. That is horrible. That is not something we want to do here. So the question is, how do we prevent this from happening? If I took someone that was very pro-life and they said abortion should never be happening, if they had no other choice and you ask them, should it be done early or later, they'll say it doesn't matter. Conception happens, like life starts with conception. But if they absolutely had to make a choice, I'm willing to guess that most people would say earlier is better than later. Not because of the life of the baby, but because of the life of the mom. We know having access to early procedures would is a lot safer than doing one later. And for the people saying, hey, but they're just using this as a primary form of birth control, they're not. There's very few people that use abortion as a primary form of birth control, and they're a very small group of defectors that we should not be taking the rights away from everyone else and the autonomy from their own body because a few people abuse the system. The right role there is to stop people from defecting and finding better ways to regulate that in society. And for people just saying they're going to just do a third trimester abortion and not think about that, I take care of a lot of women, and when they are pregnant, they're feeling a baby moving for months before they're in their third trimester. No one is making that decision lightly. They're making that decision if they absolutely have to because their life's at risk or the baby's not viable. Just saying that they wanted to do that in the third trimester is so unbelievably rare, and that is a whole conversation for another time. And by having these laws there with such extreme ambiguity, it really puts people in a funny situation, especially providers that are dealing with these second trimester and sometimes even mostly second trimester babies, especially 17, 18 weeks, in situations where we don't know how to care for these moms because we're scared for our license. And how do we decide, hey, this mom broke her water, can we keep her pregnant? Is her life actually in danger? Is my job going to be taken away? Am I going to be go to prison for 99 years? And if you look at what's happening, for example, in Texas, since the 6-week law was passed, their maternal mortality and morbidity increased 56% versus the rest of the US, which was only 11%. So my point is this restriction isn't helping anyone. So how can we move forward? How can we help people? And how do we navigate this situation? I think is really nuanced. I think the media in general tries to separate people, and I think most people want healthy families. And to do that, women need autonomy. Just saying just abstinence clearly has never worked. So I think we need to move on from that. Thank you guys for all of your comments in your previous video, and if you have any questions, leave them below, and I'm happy to make another follow-up video. Have a good one.